In Smartview R&D, there are several analysis objects to present thermal information contained in an infrared image, video, or live stream. These objects consist of 5 different groups: points or spots, lines, areas, measures, and annotations. Measures and annotations do not use temperature information. Annotations are used to put text and visually mark areas up on the image. So I can place a note here, and I can enter my note text, and I have some minor formatting options along with the ability to vary the transparency. You can also place objects such as arrows on the image, video, or live stream, as well as a rectangle or an ellipse. Measures display geometrical dimensions of an object on the image. So I'd start with the ruler, and I'll put the ruler on my image, and then I set the properties of my ruler. So I set the length of it, and I give it the appropriate dimensions. Now, when I want to take a measurement, I can measure a line, and it's going to reference that ruler to give me those exact same dimensions on another part of the image. I also can measure an angle. Measures and annotations help place context on the thermal image, recording, or live stream. Points, lines, and areas are thermographic objects, meaning we can analyze the temperature data associated with them. So if I take a spot marker and place it on the image, it immediately returns the temperature at that point. Points, lines, and areas are going to appear over here, and it's going to display the temperature data associated with them. So it assigns it a value, the current temperature of the object, the emissivity, and the ambient air temperature. As with the whole image, every thermographic analysis object can have its own emissivity, ambient temperature, averaging factor, software filter, and other parameters. So if I was to make changes at this particular spot to the emissivity and apply it, we would see it reflected in the temperature value, and then we would see that reflected over here in our table. Under our spots, we also have the ability to select the hottest spot, and it will automatically put a marker on the hottest spot of the image. This is actually a recording, so when I start to run this recording, we'll see the hot marker moves around on the image where the hottest spot is. So it makes it a great tool for identifying what's the hottest spot in the radiometric image. There's also the ability to identify the hot and cold spots. I can look for just the hot spots or just the cold spots or both. And I can look for the 2 hottest spots or the 2 coldest spots. And I can designate how far apart I want those spots to be by pixels. These hot and cold spots can be placed on the whole image, or if I have areas on the image, they can be applied to just the individual areas. Again, when I run the video, we'll see them move around to the 2 hottest spots, and our cold spots stay off the screen here actually in something that's not really being measured. The other analysis tool we have is lines. I can draw a free line, a horizontal line, or a vertical line. When I draw a line, the line appears over here in the lines table, and it gives us some data, some temperature data across that line: the min temperature, the max temperature, the average, the emissivity, and the ambient temperature. Like with other objects, I can go ahead and set the parameters of this individual line. So a free line can be drawn anyway, a horizontal line can only be drawn horizontally, and a vertical line can only be drawn vertically. A polyline is going to continue the line from the last point to allow you to draw it in any shape that you'd like it. and a cross line is going to create a complete cross across your image. As I add these lines, it puts them in numerical value and puts the properties across them all. I'm going to go ahead and remove the lines for clarity and just place one more line. I'm going to put it right on this portion here where we go across that much cooler part of the image. I can put on image profiles and it will apply to all the line objects that are on the image, and it just lets you see what the temperature is doing across that image in a graph. So we see as it hits that cooler mark, it goes down. If I was to place another line across this hotter part of the image here, we see the spike in temperature here in the cooler parts as it goes across. So another way to analyze the temperature data across your lines. And the final analysis object is areas. I can make some different shape areas on here. And it's going to fill it out in the areas table, area number 1, and it's going to give me the temperature data inside there, including the average and the entire number of pixels that was captured. Now that I have an area on my image, I can come back to my hot and cold spots, and I can say I want to find the hot and cold spots, and not on the whole image, but inside that actual area. So again, every analysis object that is placed on the image, those properties of that object can be set independently. We interact with these objects by using the selection tool. Once you highlight an object, you can move it around and you can control it, and this is also how you double click to access the properties. There's also a zoom tool that lets you zoom in and out anywhere on the image and navigate around to get a more detailed look. We also have a clip tool. The clip tool allows you to highlight an area and copy it and paste it out to another application. There's also a connection tool that allows you to connect any two objects together. So let me clear some of this out of the way here. I'm going to cut a couple more spots down here, and I'll come here and I'll select my connection tool, and I can connect any two objects on the image. So now as we see, we've connected B to A, and it gives us the delta difference, and it gives us the property of that object. I can go ahead and grab the selection tool and move those objects around, and they'll stay connected. If I have two lines on my image, I can connect the lines also. Once that is done, that allows me to create a profile of the two lines to show how they relate against each other in temperature. We also see that in our table over here that the two lines are connected and the data displays in the table. I can also connect two areas . And once I've connected two areas, again, it displays in our areas table, and I can view a histogram to see the differences between those two areas compared to each other. Any of the analysis objects we have in the image, we have the opportunity to hide and show them. So whatever analysis objects are on your image, you'll have the opportunity to toggle them on and off. This can be helpful with annotations and rulers, or just different things that you want to move in and out of the view as you analyze your object. We can also set a reference temperature, and then all the analysis objects on the image will show the delta from the reference temperature. So if we enable our reference temperature and set it for 80 degrees, we see that what we get is the difference between all of the objects on our image and our reference temperature, whether it's positive or negative. We can also set a range of interest on our image so that only temperatures within our range of interest display as colorized pixels and everything else goes to black and white. This allows us to focus on the part of the image in the temperature range that we care most about. These analysis objects can be used on images, videos, and live radiometric data streaming.